London, 1943. A civilian engineer stands on a rooftop near Piccadilly and fires a rifle at a chimney across the street. Pedestrians below continue walking. They do not flinch. They do not look up. They hear nothing. The weapon in his hands produces less noise than a car door closing. Within months, British commandos will carry this rifle onto the beaches of occupied France and use it to kill German sentries who never hear the shot that ends them. By every measurable standard, this is the quietest military firearm ever built, and fewer than 150 were ever made. Most were deliberately destroyed after the war. The ones that survive sit in museums looking like plumbing pipes with rifle stocks bolted on. This is the Lisle Carbine, and it solved a problem that most firearms designers did not even understand existed. The problem facing British combined operations in 1942 was brutal and simple. Every commando raid on occupied Europe began the same way. Sentries had to die silently before the main assault could begin. The standard method was the Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife, a 7-inch double-edged blade designed specifically for killing sentries. The limitation was obvious. Knife kills require getting within arm's reach of a trained, armed soldier who is actively trying not to be killed. One documented SOE operation failed entirely when an agent's blade struck the sentry's gas mask canister instead of his kidney. The alternative was a suppressed Sten, the Mark II's variant. It reduced muzzle blast, but the Sten uses an open bolt mechanism that cycles automatically after each shot, producing a metallic clatter louder than the suppressed gunshot itself. A sentry 50 yards away might not hear the shot. He would absolutely hear the bolt slamming home. German sentries patrolled coastal defenses, radar installations, and headquarters buildings across France, Norway, and the Channel Islands. They carried Carbine 98K rifles. They followed predictable schedules, and they had to be eliminated silently from distances no existing weapon could manage. Enter William Godfrey de Lisle. De Lisle was not a weapons designer. He was a civilian engineer at the Ministry of Aircraft Production. His obsession with suppressed firearms began at age 16 when he and his school friends built crude silencers from old cocoa tins and fitted them to .22 rifles to hunt rabbits in the English countryside. By 1942, wartime meat rationing gave him a practical reason to revisit the hobby. He built a suppressed .22 semi-automatic rifle at his home in Beckenham, Kent, and used it to quietly dispatch small game on the Berkshire Downs. But de Lisle saw the military potential immediately. In early 1943, he approached Major Sir Malcolm Campbell at Combined Operations Headquarters. Campbell, the legendary land speed record holder and the first man to exceed 300 miles per hour on land in 1935, served on Lord Mountbatten's staff. According to accounts from the Rifleman Archive, Campbell loved the concept and became the weapon's most powerful champion. De Lisle was released from his Air Ministry duties to work on the project full-time. Campbell initially requested a 9mm version, believing greater power was needed. This was wrong. 9mm parabellum ammunition is supersonic. A bullet traveling faster than the speed of sound produces a supersonic crack, a miniature sonic boom that no suppressor can eliminate. Suppressing a supersonic cartridge is like trying to silence a whip crack. The sound is not coming from the gun. It is coming from the bullet tearing through the air. De Lisle insisted on .45 ACP. After the 9mm prototype predictably failed, his judgment prevailed. Standard military .45 ACP fires a 230-grain bullet at roughly 830 feet per second. The speed of sound is approximately 1,125 feet per second. Every .45 ACP round is inherently subsonic without requiring special ammunition. This eliminates the supersonic crack entirely. One source of noise solved. The second source of noise is muzzle blast. When a gun fires, propellant gas expands rapidly and exits the barrel behind the bullet at high pressure. This creates the bang. de Lisle's solution was elegant and radical. The barrel was a modified Thompson submachine gun barrel, just 7 inches long, drilled with multiple rows of staggered vent holes along its length. These holes bled propellant gas into a massive integral suppressor that constituted half the weapon's total length. Inside that suppressor, 13 spiral baffles forced the escaping gases into an offset vortex pattern. Each baffle was an eccentric disc with its halves bent in opposite directions. Conventional flat baffles allow gas to flow straight through. Spiral baffles force gas into a turbulent rotational flow that dissipates energy far more effectively. The suppressor was not an add-on accessory. It was built into the weapon as a structural component. Second source of noise solved. The third source of noise is mechanical action. Most semi-automatic and automatic firearms produce noise from the bolt cycling, the action opening and closing, empty cases ejecting. The de Lisle eliminated this entirely by using a bolt action mechanism based on the Lee-Enfield rifle. Bolt actions do not cycle automatically. The shooter controls exactly when the bolt moves, and a rubber dampening pad on the bolt handle eliminated even the metallic clunk of manually cycling the action. According to Ordnance Board trials from 1944, the complete weapon produced 85.5 decibels. For reference, a typical conversation is 60 decibels. A lawnmower is 90 decibels. The de Lisle was measured as inaudible at 50 yards. Third source of noise solved. No other weapon of the era achieved this. The complete weapon weighed 7.5 pounds. It used modified M1911 pistol magazines holding 7 rounds of .45 ACP. Sights were graduated from 50 to 200 yards. According to Armament Research Services, the de Lisle achieved groupings of 1.75 inches by 1 inch at 20 yards during comparative trials. The suppressed Sten, for comparison, managed 4 inches by 2.5 inches at the same distance. Accuracy mattered. Commandos engaging sentries at 50 to 100 yards in low light needed first shot hits. The de Lisle delivered. 17 prototypes were hand-built at the Ford Motor Company factory in Dagenham, Essex, machined in the tool room and assembled in the manager's air raid precautions dugout. Ford was building military vehicles and engines, not firearms. The de Lisle was a side project given to skilled machinists with access to precision equipment and a wartime mandate to solve problems creatively. Sterling Engineering Company received the production contract in summer 1944. A formal order for 500 carbines was placed on October 6, 1944. But the war was winding down. The Normandy landings had succeeded. The need for silent sentry elimination in occupied territory was diminishing. The contract was terminated on December 20, 1945, with just 106 carbines delivered. Total production across all variants reached approximately 130 to 150 units. This makes the de Lisle one of the rarest military firearms ever officially issued. The first 17 Ford prototypes went straight into combat with British Commandos. According to National Army Museum archives, they were used for silencing sentries during clearing operations on the occupied French coast. The dozens of small reconnaissance raids into Normandy that preceded D-Day. 6 prototypes were dispatched to Belgium. 1 survives today at the War Heritage Institute. The most dramatic documented account comes from Burma. Researcher Ian Skennerton, drawing from veteran interviews, recorded that British snipers laid up near a road and silently dispatched a Japanese soldier in each lorry that passed. In most cases, the lorry would stop. But as no shot was heard, the occupants found it hard to believe they had been fired upon at all, let alone determine from where. 2 or 3 snipers operating along the road bagged 3 or 4 soldiers in each vehicle. The psychological effect was devastating. Soldiers dying without sound. No muzzle flash. No report. Just men collapsing. According to a 1984 article in Gun Ho magazine, Former Jedburgh team commander E. Michael Burke stated that his team used a Lisle to carry out 2 hits against field-grade Nazi officers early in 1944. This represents the only documented assassination of senior German officers with the weapon. Single source. Treat it as well-sourced, but unverified. Legend has it that former OSS Captain Mitchell Werbel III, who later became a famous suppressor designer, described the Lisle's impact in Burma in characteristically blunt terms. He reportedly called it better than American-issued equipment and claimed both American and British forces used them to terrorize Japanese troops at night and in ambush. The comparison to other silent weapons of the era is instructive. The Welrod pistol, Britain's other famous silent weapon, recorded 73 decibels in period tests, arguably quieter at contact distance, but its effective range was just 7 to 25 yards. Its .32 ACP round offered marginal lethality with a 71-grain bullet compared to the Lisle's 230 grains. And the Welrod's rubber wipes degraded after only 10 to 15 rounds, requiring replacement. The American high-standard HDM pistol fired .22 long rifle, requiring a headshot for a reliable kill. Germany's SS commando Otto Skorzeny himself, according to multiple sources, noted the superiority of captured British suppressed weapons. He reportedly praised the possibilities they offered and lamented the losses they might have prevented. The fact that Germany's most famous special operations officer coveted British, suppressed weapons rather than German ones tells you everything. The Lisle outlived the war by decades. During the Malayan emergency, surviving carbines were reconditioned at the Royal Small Arms Factory at Enfield and returned to service. In December 1950, 5 rounds were fired from a Lisle within 50 yards of an audience of officers at a training center in Singapore. Not one officer noticed. General Gerald Templer himself was photographed test-firing one in Perak in 1952. According to veteran accounts, the weapon also saw service in Korea. Its use in Northern Ireland by the SAS is repeatedly mentioned across sources, but remains unconfirmed. One source notes cryptically that it is rumored a couple continue to be held in regimental stores just in case. The Sterling L-34A1 suppressed submachine gun, produced by the same factory that built the Lisle, incorporated spiral diffuser baffles derived directly from the Lisle's design. The concept of pairing inherently subsonic ammunition with integral suppression influenced modern platforms, including the entire .300 blackout cartridge ecosystem. Modern reproductions from U.S. armament manufacturing now sell for roughly $6,000. Original Lisles are essentially priceless. Most were deliberately scrapped after the war to prevent their use in the wrong hands. Survivors sit in the Royal Armouries at Leeds, the Small Arms School Corps Collection at Warminster, and the Imperial War Museum. 1943, a rooftop near Piccadilly. A civilian engineer fires a weapon pedestrians cannot hear. Within a year, Commandos carry it onto the beaches of occupied France. Within 2 years, snipers use it to kill Japanese soldiers who never know they are under fire. Fewer than 150 are ever made. Most are destroyed. The ones that survive sit behind museum glass looking like plumbers' pipes with rifle stocks. They are, according to Armament Research Services, close to the zenith of quiet operation in a shoulder arm. British engineering solved the problem of sound itself, and the result was a weapon so effective, so rare, and so secret that 8 decades later we are still piecing together exactly what it accomplished.